policy, law, education, opportunity, well-being, social justice, community, voice, identity, culture, history, ending discrimination, ending discrimination. It's deeper than hair. It's deeper. It's deeper. It's deeper than hair. It's deeper.
And so we mentioned earlier that we conduct listening sessions, and we want to help build your capacity within your communities to authentically engage in terms of these listening sessions. And so Shemeka and I will be providing some guidance on how to conduct listening sessions. And we'll preface this with what are listening sessions? And so Shemeka, would you like to define listening sessions for our audience?
Yeah, so a listening session is an opportunity for you as a participant leader to listen to those that are being impacted negatively within your community. So it could be someone that is facing inequities that are directly connected to hair discrimination, as well as other forms of inequity and injustice and discrimination that may be representative, that may show up at the listening session. So it's really a time not for us as Crown Campaign to fix it or have quick instant answers or solutions, but it really is authentically that which it is entitled: listening, active listening, paying attention, being attentive, taking notes so that you can report back or share back what you're hearing, and then allowing that person to have that space that's needed to walk through maybe the first time they've been able to have someone to talk to about this inequity.
Thank you, Shemeka. So as we've all heard, the key is listening as far as this, the listening sessions. And so in terms of starting, the key is to actively listen with your heart and mind through a lens of empathy as part of engaging people at lived experiences of inequities, because these are individuals who have gone through in some cases, primary trauma and secondary trauma from the inequities and injustices that have been inflicted on them. So in listening actively with one's heart and mind is key. Secondly, to understand that we may not have all the answers. And so as Shemeka has highlighted, the goal and intent is not to come forward with solutions, but to understand that the goal is really to listen, and that it's okay to acknowledge this in the listening session when you're conducting it, that you may not have all the answers, but your goal is to listen. Shemeka, would you like to highlight the next 2 bullet points?
Allowing ample time from the listening session so that person can actually not feel rushed in going through the experience. So at minimum an hour, but being aware and sensitive that it could go longer. One of the things we've amplified is encouraging them to send in content information, if there's existing articles or notes or some backstory that can help give you some of the background or the backstory, then that helps with that. And then being aware of re-traumatization. One thing that we don't want to do is re-traumatize them from them having to tell their story. So it's really about readiness of that individual to talk about all the components of that story, and he or she being able to have that opportunity to take that time and breathe through it. So informing those sharing, it's up to them when they feel comfortable sharing, since the goal for us is not to re-traumatize or take off a bandage that does not have a safe space after they leave that listening session to continue the process.
Thank you, Shemeka. And then Also, the importance of follow-up is very important as far as when the listening session is conducted. It's important to follow up on next steps with that person because the person has already shared and in vulnerability. And so any inaction or non-follow-up could actually cause more vulnerabilities. And so showing up where one transparently explains, okay, these are the next steps, helps in terms of accountability and transparency. And we've done this in our listening sessions where we have informed, at least the one that was just recently conducted, we informed the individual of next steps proactively and as part of transparency. And also in the follow-up for the listening session, it's important to acknowledge the hurt that was caused. And it's okay to say, I'm sorry. Even if you're not the one who caused the harm, but saying I'm sorry on behalf of those who inflicted the harm is very important. And I will tell you that in our recent listening session that Shemeka and I had, the power of saying I'm sorry can't be understated enough, because some individuals never hear I'm sorry from the perpetrators or from the person who or organization who's caused harm. So hearing it's said from us through an empathetic ear that we're sorry on behalf of what you went through actually helps in not speeding up the healing process, but it helps in some healing towards the individual, especially those who have never heard I'm sorry, for those who have caused trauma. And then also it's important to be transparent about capacity in terms of hosting these listening sessions, and also be open to providing referrals if needed. And this is important because as a community, when the community is carrying so many burdens of inequities, it really does take a village to address these inequities. And so recognizing one's own capacity. And so even in one of our recent listening sessions, we had to be transparent about what we could handle within a Crown Campaign and what we are not able to handle due to our limitations, whether it's funding or personnel. And also we're a grassroots effort, we're a grassroots volunteer effort, and self-funded, pretty much using our own money at this stage. And so we had to be quite transparent about what we can and cannot do, but what can be done in terms of referrals and other things as far as next steps. So we encourage those in our village who are conducting listening sessions to be transparent with the stakeholders regarding what can be done and not to overpromise. Overpromising actually causes more vulnerabilities as well. And Shemeka, would you like to do the last 2 bullet points?
Yeah, amplifying and listening really means the opening listening to hear a person share about their experience. This is sensitive. It is something that they are kind of walking through again and may need some moments to breathe. It can't be rushed, but that active listening does help. And I believe we've already amplified the strategy of listening around taking notes and listening actively enough to be able to repeat back to them what you're hearing and allowing them to get further clarity. What still needs to happen when listening to individuals wanting Crown Campaign to take action about their inequitable experience? This goes back around the transparency. We are a village of self-funded, passionate, full of passion, but we do not have the capacity to stand in front of your issue on your behalf, but we will stand with you and behind you in amplifying what you would like to see happen for your situation. But we, at this time, just really help support what you would like to see done, and our listening is our form of advocacy and activism on your behalf.
Thank you, Shemeka.